Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to Press Box. John Carter, and very pleased here to have the St. Clair girls swimming and diving team. Coach Mac Roberts. Mac, nice to have you here. Maddie Lever, Molly Likens, Megan Lambrick, and Lakin Coolman. Girls, thanks for coming.
Thank you for having us.
So Mac, another great season for St. Clair Swim and Dive. Tell us a little bit about what it was and what was the strengths of some of the team here.
Well, the strengths of this team is they come from just so much swimming background and also diving as well. They'll start out when they're really, really young, and that's what's really going to help this St. Clair team become just what it is this year and in past years and in future years. They start out at Blue Water Swim Club, and then train when they're freshmen all the way up to seniors.
How did you get started coaching?
I got started coaching when the old St. Clair coach, Ken Siggett, contacted me and asked if I wanted a job coaching for the Blue Water Swim Club. And I had nothing else to do.
So what's interesting and fun about coaching swimming from your perspective?
From my perspective. Well, swimming by itself is my favorite sport. It's way interesting than any other sport. I don't like watching baseball. Basketball's okay. Football's not very fun unless you're playing it. But swim, it's exciting regardless. What I enjoy about actually coaching it is just helping somebody get better, just become faster than what they were previously, being a successful swimmer.
What was your background? What strokes did you swim?
I swam the sprints, the 50 freestyle and 100 freestyle.
So, I mean, obviously they're carry over there. What about the longer races? How do you help the girls with those longer races?
Well, the longer races, I'll just say like the 200, if they want to be able to swim the 200, it's not really a distance stroke, it's swimming the 100 fast and then doing it another time right after that.
So basically fool them into thinking.
Oh yeah, you just got to train them to think it's almost done, and you're just right there, you got to keep pushing hard.
What was the mix like this year? Did you have a lot of experienced girls and some younger girls coming up? What was your team like that way?
We definitely had a lot of incoming freshmen and also a few sophomores that just joined this year, but we also had a lot of like I said earlier, swimmers who have been in this it's just been swimming before high school, and they've done it all the way through high school. They're helping out.
From your perspective, now you've looked at this and so on. What makes a good swimmer? Is there some obviously physical, but also is there a mental makeup that helps being a good swimmer?
Oh yeah. Like you're underwater, you're giving it all. You're not breathing. You have to once you get to the other side, you got to turn around and do it again. Just the mental strength to keep pushing yourself.
So tell us a little bit about your season this year. How'd you do in the league, and what happened with districts and regions?
Well, we're in the MAC Red division, which is the highest division, and
which I'll tell you is interesting because I do interview other people, and we were just talking to Coach Klutz, the girls tennis team, or actually boys tennis team was in, and they were talking about, is that the same way you look at it? The MAC Red's the toughest division. You want to get the girls ready for that competition?
Yeah, it's what you said. Yeah, we want to get them ready. I mean, regardless if they were in like the blue division or gold, whatever, we want to get them ready for their competition. They have definitely up in the red. There's Division I teams there, and they need to be ready for it.
And what happens after the MAC? Then you go on to districts, or is it regionals? How does that work?
There is like a county meet that is just the local teams around here: Marine City, St. Clair, Port Huron. But then, yeah, there is the MAC championship meet, and there isn't really a districts. You can qualify for states, and by the MAC meet, and qualify for states, and you go there.
And how did we do there?
We sent 9 altogether, right? We sent 3 divers and 6 swimmers there, and that's a really large number, the highest one around here.
So that brings up an interesting point. Lakin's a diver, and obviously has done a terrific job there. How is it coaching divers? I mean, would you have someone special come in, or how do you work that?
Yeah, we have a dive coach. His name's Greg Forrester, and he comes in and he specializes in that. He was a diver himself. He's the best one around here too.
Okay, and one last thing. I mean, I know facilities is always an interesting question. When did you get the pool back, or did you get the pool back this year? How did that work?
I don't know exact dates. We started out at the St. Clair City Pool right across the street, and we practiced there for a few weeks, and then we were told our pool was going to be fixed, and then it broke like a day after. So we ended up, this pool was closing for the summer, so we had to go down to Marine City. And Marine City's just like our pool. It's the same thing, but it's a drive. We got to get everybody down there, and some people live in Marysville and Port Huron, actually. So it was tough getting down there.
Well, still a terrific season. Let's talk to some of the swimmers here. And Maddie, we'll start with you. How did you get started?
I got started with swimming when I was in about 5th grade, and one of my friends invited me to join Blue Water Swim Club, so that's where I started.
Okay, how about you, Molly?
funny story. I started when my mom had a nightmare when I was really, really little. And she had a nightmare that my sister, me, and my brother were drowning in a car and we wouldn't be able to get out and swim. So that's when we started swim lessons, and Coach Ken saw us swim at this rec meet.
Outside
and
a car,
he was like,
presumably, right?
yeah, he was like, I want your kids to swim for us. So my mom's like, okay, let's see where this goes, and here we are.
That's amazing. That's a great story, by the way.
Yeah.
Megan, how about you?
I started when I was about 8 years old at the city pool, just summer swimming, and then I joined the high school team my freshman year, and I just loved it, and Ken Siggett encouraged me to do blue water, and I've stuck with it.
Yeah. So, Lakin, a little bit different background. Tell us about your background. How did you get started?
Well, I've been a gymnast for about 11 years, and I started my sophomore year. Freshman year, I was a cheerleader, but I really love it, and I haven't been doing it that long, but.
So, for kind of the people who maybe aren't that familiar, tell us a little bit about how gymnastics helps as a diver.
Most of the flipping is the same, just you have to go in on your head most of the time, which is a little bit different than landing on your feet. But most of the flips are the same in the twisting and things like that.
And you think that there's something about a gymnast in terms of knowing where your body is? Is that how it works?
Yeah, definitely. It is, like I said, scary to go in on your head, but you have this awareness of like where you are, so.
So, Maddie, what events did you swim?
I swim butterfly.
And what is it about butterfly that you like?
I don't know if I think it's like the only thing that in swimming we ever felt really good at. Like I can't really do any of the other strokes. So I guess it's just like my thing that I'm good at.
For kind of an amateur type person in this, the butterfly has a reputation of being the hardest stroke. Is that accurate?
Yeah, that's what everyone says when I tell them I swim butterfly.
Why is that?
Why is it the hardest? Well, you have to, most other strokes you just move like one of your arms, but for butterfly you have to move like both of them like this. It's just, I guess it just takes a lot of arm strength, and it, like your whole body is moving along with it. It's not fun.
That's the stroke. It's full body motion.
Yeah.
Yes.
Different.
Okay. And Molly, what about you? What do you swim?
I am an IMer and a breaststroker.
So again, for the uninitiated, what does IM mean?
Individual medley.
And that means?
That means all 4 strokes in one event. So it goes butterfly, backstroke, breaststroke, and freestyle.
That's got to be hard.
Well, you just have to have the right endurance. To do the IM, you have to be, to be a good IMer, you have to have, background, I guess, in all of the events. Not events, like all the strokes, and, have the good endurance to keep going with because it's easy to start off butterfly. Backstroke, you're hanging on. Breaststroke, that's the hard part. And freestyle, finishing out is extremely hard. So you just have to find the right endurance and have the great background of all strokes.
Megan, what about you? What do you swim?
The backstroke and also the IM.
Okay, so you're kind of the two jack of all trades here.
Yeah.
Yes.
So apart from what Molly was saying, having the kind of the strength, what else is difficult about doing the IM?
Well, I actually think doing the IM is better than doing something like the 500 or the 200 because you're not swimming the same thing the whole time. You get a little bit of a change up, so it's different body muscles, so you're not just tired in one spot. You kind of change where your body's going to be tired and you loosen up.
So do you strategize? I mean, do you have a better stroke or a best stroke of the 4 and you say, okay, I got to make up time during the...
Yeah, like in my race, I just go out really hard in the fly, and then the backstroke's what I'm best at, so I just go as fast as I can there, and then I'm the worst at breaststroke, and that one we're just trying to keep me with everybody else, and then freestyle you just got to bring it home.
Okay. And Molly, I know Coach was saying earlier, you actually won the states
Yes.
in breaststroke the
In
year.
breaststroke.
What length? How long a swim is it?
It's 100 yards, so it's 4 laps
Okay.
of 25-yard pool.
What makes
so.
you good in the breaststroke?
Well, I've had, great coaching over the years of my breaststroke. And I specialize, because I specialized ever since I was 10 years old when I went to 10 and under states, 12 and under states. with Ken, and he's like, when you get to high school, you're going to be swimming this event. We're going to train and we're going to specialize in that event so that way you can win.
Okay. I mean, it's funny, but you watch a breaststroke and it's kind of like I call it the grandmother stroke. You know,
Yes.
It's not the one you're going really fast through the pool. What is it that really difficult about the breaststroke that people don't understand?
People don't understand, not how you swim it. It's just your mental ability to do it. You have to, keep your hips high. You have to drive with your hips and your kick. And you have to always be shooting forward, and it's just a hard stroke. You're not getting it, you don't breathe. You go, go. You're not breathing a lot.
Yes.
You're just shooting it forward. You're trying to kick crazy, and you're just trying to get to the other wall as fast as you can, and less strokes than butterfly.
So, Mac, from your perspective, why is she so good at this?
I would definitely have to put it just for practice. She's been practicing it for so long. She's developed the muscles and the mentality. I cannot let my hips drop. I can't pause at the top regardless how tired I am, and just practice.
So, Lake, a little bit different, and I've always wondered, how do you learn a new dive? I mean, it's got to be somewhat scary as you get up there on the board and you got to, I got to do this. I mean, how exactly do you start that process?
Well, most pools have belts or bubbles,
Okay.
but our pool does not have that. So
So you just fall.
well, basically, to take some of like the smack out, like if you hit the water the wrong way, you smack. So usually I'll wear a sweatshirt or something like that and just hope for the best, pretty much. But the dive coach will also call you out. So when you're supposed to, let's say you're going to tuck and you're flipping and you're supposed to open up at the right time, he'll make a noise so then you know when.
Okay. And I know that you have a kind of a list of dives that you do, different degree of difficulties. How do you decide which ones you're going to put in and what point are you good enough at a difficult dive to say, I'm going to put that in my list?
Well, it's not always up to you. Like there's the dive of the week, so there's different categories.
Oh,
so
I see. They tell you have to do some dives?
Yeah, like certain dives you have to do, and then like at the bigger dives you have to have a certain amount of voluntaries and a certain amount of optionals. So, but like the normal dual meets, it's just as long as you have the dive of the week, then you can do whatever else you want. But most of us try and go for the highest difficulty.
What's your favorite dive and why?
I like front twisting. I also like inwards.
Can't decide.
Yeah, I think I like the inwards the best, just because it kind of like tricks people to think that, wow, you're so close to the board, like how do you not freak out? Like it's just kind of like wowing everyone. It's really fun.
Interesting. So Megan, you're a senior now, correct?
Mm-hmm.
What have you learned in the 4 years you've been swimming now? What's the difference between you as a freshman and you as a senior?
I think it's definitely taught me dedication. You have to get up at 5 in the morning to be at practice by 5:30, and then you go to practice, then you have to change, go to school, and then you do the same thing again for 3 hours at home or at your second practice, and then you finally get to go home. We have this joke where like you get to practice and it's dark and you leave and it's dark and we never see the sun.
Which is kind of odd for swimming because normally you think of that as like by the pool,
Yeah.
right? In the sun.
But yeah, I think it's taught me you have to be dedicated and work hard to be good at what you love.
Maddie, what about, from your perspective, how do you keep it from being boring? I mean, going back and forth, how do you make swimming fun?
The team. The
Okay.
team is the best part of swimming. Like, I was in a lane with Megan and Molly, and whenever we would be in the middle of a hard set, it was usually Molly. She'd just give us some facial expression. We just all laugh. And Mac's funny sometimes too. It's,
Okay.
yeah, stuff like that. It's fun.
So that's one of the interesting things. I mean, swimming and diving is really a very individual sport. There's no one else swimming for you in the pool. How do you foster that team spirit to really come together as a group? I'm sure Molly, you're one of the seniors. How'd you guys do that?
Well, at the end of every practice, we try and do a team cheer. Because the divers leave early, we never really include the divers. But at the end of practice, we do team cheer. We have sleepovers. We're always trying to do team bonding.
Flip downs.
Yeah, float downs, dance parties. We have team dinner, like dinners, like after the meets. I guess we communicate with our team.
Right.
And we're always like, they can relate they can relate with us where, we're going through a hard time, or, we're always talking with our team members, and we're always trying to help them, or they're trying to help us, and that's the part of being a team.
Yeah. So Megan, how did you help the freshmen? What did you do specifically with some of the freshmen?
Well, a lot of our freshmen were new to swimming. We had a few who kind of knew what it was, but they'd never swam at a higher level like high school. So a lot of them were just nervous for the meets. Like, they were like, oh, I don't know if I can do it. Like, they didn't want to lose. And you have to teach them that, no, you don't want to lose. But on the other side of that, like, you're swimming with people like Molly, and it's unlikely that you might get first, but you can still swim well, you can still get points, you can get 5th place, and that's awesome. Like, 5th out of 6th is great, you're still bringing in points. And the best thing to do with the freshmen is to just keep lifting them up and making sure that they feel included in the team, and that they're a part of our team's family, and that they're welcome.
That's great. Lakin, I got to ask you, to me, one of the most difficult things got to be standing at the end of that board. You talked about whether it's an inward or back or whatever, and how do you gather yourself and get ready to make that dive? Everybody's watching, a lot of pressure. How is that? What process do you go to make that happen?
Well, the gymnastics background helps, where you're in the spotlight a lot, but I go up there and I talk to myself, just go through what I have to do. Everybody sees me doing it. I have these habits I do with my hands and stuff, but I mostly just tune everyone out and just focus on what I have to do, and I don't really hear anybody else or see anything else going on when I'm doing the dive. So.
How has that helped you in school or other parts of your life?
Balancing sports and school homework has definitely taught me time management and working with other people in school, like when you're putting group projects and things like that. So.
Maddie, what about you? How has being such a good swimmer helped you in other parts of your life?
It's definitely taught me that hard work does pay off, which helps in school and like future jobs, colleges, things like that.
Megan, what'd you learn about yourself as a swimmer in the last 4 years?
I learned that I'm definitely better than I think I am. Like, that I have to have more confidence than in my own abilities, and that I can actually do what I set my mind to.
That's terrific. And I got to ask Molly, because you've had a really interesting last couple of years, participant in the Deaf Olympics. Can you talk a little bit about that experience and how that's helped you?
Deaf Olympics really helped me, like, as a person, because like I get to meet different people, like how they train, how like they spend their days training. Like, a lot of them are professionals.
Yeah.
And they spend their whole days, training. They have kids. And I'm here being a senior in high school, and I'm like, I don't even like think about that. All I do is I have to like think about college. I have to think about, getting to the next day, getting to the next, next season, and I just train. Like, I just don't even think about that. I'm just in the not present, and that just helps me like think about my future.
Oh, that's great. That's great. So Mac, we've talked about it a little bit. Tell us a little about States and what it was like there and how your team did.
Well, it was at Eastern Michigan University, and just going to States it's a fantastic experience, regardless if you're going to be a state championship or you just made the relay team. It's exciting just to go. When you walk in, there's lots and lots of people. It's packed. There's no sitting room. You can't sit anywhere. There's lots of people in the pool, standing behind the block, jumping off the block. It's just thrilling, and there's the music playing, lots of shining lights and everything. It's great just to be there. Over just our performance, we had 2 relays that went. We had the 200 medley relay, which placed 6th, earning everybody on that team an All-American award. We had the 400 freestyle relay that also went, and that placed in the top 20. Then we had Lola Lanen, who went for the 500 and the 200. She didn't make it back for the second day in the 200, but the 500 she went in and she broke a new school record.
Wow.
Yep, her own. We had Molly here, who was our state champion in the breaststroke. We had 3 divers, one Lake and Coleman here, probably our best diver there. We had 2 others who are actually their first years, and it was really surprising to see them there. It was fantastic.
Maybe just talk a little bit how difficult it is even to get to states.
Extremely difficult. I think St. Clair here takes it for granted a little bit, just because we've had so many people go in the past few years, but it is very difficult. They train so hard throughout the season.
And you have to make a certain level, correct?
Yeah, like you have to go a certain time.
Doesn't matter if you win an event, you've got
Right.
you've got to make a level before you're even allowed in, correct?
Yep.
So girls, when you know there's that many good swimmers or good divers with you, how does that make you feel? What was going through your mind, Molly, at the morning there, you get ready to go for your first race?
I don't even think about that. I just think about like how well I'm gonna do. I look at like my rivals and see how close they are to me. That's all I really think about. I really think about like my goal time. I think about like my goal time was to go a 1:03.29 in the 100 breaststroke, and I like crushed that at the finals because like I was. I'm trying to be humble here.
It's okay. When you win states,
Brag
you're
about
allowed.
So like I demolished that, and I was glad I hit the goal time. I didn't even think about who got second place or who was even close to me.
There was
at
no one.
prelims.
Yeah, no one. Like half the pool.
Like,
yeah.
Like I was 4th my freshman year, 2nd my sophomore year, 2nd again in my junior year. I was really, really upset about, and then I finally got 1st my senior year.
That's terrific. So what was it like for you, Megan? I mean, all those people.
Oh, it's not nerve-wracking because, like, we've gone to enough meets that we know there's going to be a lot of people there. But like that moment just before you get up on the block, you really just have to calm yourself down because you're not nervous, but there's a lot of energy in you, and you just have to be ready to go.
How about you, Maddie? What were going through your mind?
Well, like Molly, I don't really think about it. I was just, the whole year, my goal was just to make it to states, and I did. I qualified individually in my 100 butterfly, and I was just running to like drop time and drop placing, and I did. So I was excited.
That's terrific. Lakin, how about you? I mean, it's got to be amazing with that many divers.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of divers, but most of the divers we saw at regionals.
Okay.
So there was a ton of divers there, so we saw a bunch of them that came back for there. And the past couple of years, you meet new divers at different meets and stuff, so there was a ton of divers that we already knew there. But I think the most nerve-wracking part for me was watching Molly get ready. I was like, oh no.
Yeah. Well, we like couldn't even watch the event before her. We were like, oh, I just hope Molly wins.
She's like, is she gonna make it? Is she gonna
I
make it?
was so nervous.
Well, if she was winning by half a length,
Yeah.
like, pretty soon you pretty knew that it was going to go pretty well, right? So, Mick, certainly with Ken Siggett a couple years ago and some really terrific St. Clair swimming and diving teams, what's coming on in the future here for you?
In the future, we're losing a lot of great swimmers this year. So in the future, we still have good swimmers. I mean, don't get that wrong, but we have definitely less, just seniors and juniors. But like I said earlier, we have a lot of freshmen and a lot of sophomores. And just a few of them already made states and made their varsity letter already. We're going to have a great team in just a few upcoming years.
Well, thank you very much. Girls, really enjoyed having you with. Molly, congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations really to all
you.
you. It's a tremendous accomplishment, and I want to say that again. I know how hard it is in any sport to get to the States, to compete, to be All-State, All-American, and to win. It's just amazing. And Mac, thanks for coming. We'll see you again, hopefully next year with the same kind of results. All right, everybody, that's it tonight for Press Box. We'll see you again next week. This is John Carter saying good night.